Alright, what's up guys? It's your boy IzzyDGamer here once again, bringing another episode of WandaVision in review. Today we'll be reviewing on a very special episode. It's episode 5 of WandaVision, man. We're hitting the halfway point. Pretty exciting. We saw a lot of unexpected happened, and yeah, it doesn't seem like Norm is okay at all. Today reviewing this episode will be to my left, Deej. And then to my right, T3chSupport3. What's up, man?
What's up?
How you guys doing?
Good. Excited.
How you guys feel about the episode overall? Let's start with T3chSupport3, man.
This is the only episode that I've watched more than 3 times at this point. No, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. I think it was worth it too. And Deej, how'd you feel about it, man?
Yeah, this one's jam-packed full of just craziness. It's wild. I was super excited about it. And yeah, can't wait to break it down for you.
Hey, and I guess it's into our next point, man. Doing the synopsis is Deej today. And so let's get into it, man.
All right, so this episode starts off in 1980s set. We start off with Wanda and Vision in the house trying to calm down the babies that came, and they just cannot get the hang of it at first. So they're struggling trying to do that, and in comes Agnes to save the day once again. So she's telling them that she can take care of the kids, and Wanda's all for it, but Vision's kind of nervous about it. And the first thing after him like losing his nerves about the whole letting her watch the kids is Agnes comes up and is like, "Do you want me to take the kids? Do we have to do this part again? Should we take 2 on this one?"
Yeah.
And Wanda's just looking at her like, and Vision's kind of like, "What's happening here? Like, what's happening?" And Wanda, afterwards, she's talking to Wanda like, "What was that?" And Wanda's like, "What are you talking about, Viz?
Yeah, just
what are you talking about?
Happened.
There's nothing going on here. It's just normal. She just wants to watch the kids."
Right.
Vision's ain't not having that. He's a supercomputer.
Yeah, I thought that part was crazy, man. And Tech, how'd you feel about that scene specifically with Agnes and Wanda?
It gave me creepy vibes, man. She just popped up out of nowhere, said she could handle the situation, and then when Vision didn't want it to happen, it was even weirder. Like, do you want me to start over? Should we take it from the top?
Yeah.
And then spraying lavender or whatever on the kids.
Whatever.
I think there's something to be said about like Agnes being the only one who didn't trip. You know what I mean? Wasn't like, "Oh man, get me out of here," or wasn't like, "Dude, where am I?" Like everybody else has been so far. Like she's been the only one that it was like, "Oh, all right, you want me to take it from the top? You want me to just do that again?" Even when she was out of character, I thought that was really weird.
So afterwards, she's watching the kids, and Viz and Wanda are having a conversation about what's going on with the reality that they're in, and they notice that the crying stops. So they go to take a little look-see over at the kids, and they're missing. And immediately they're like, "Where are the kids? Where are the kids?" And behind them by the steps are the kids who are now 5 years old.
Kids. Can't control them. No matter how hard you try.
So, that's strange. And they're like, and Agnes just sitting there like, everything's okay.
Yeah.
So
Agnes
then
wasn't really like responsive to most of the stuff going on in this episode.
Yeah, she was just like, well, you can't tell kids what you know how it goes.
Yeah.
But so then it switches over to the '80s intro, where we get like a Family Ties, Full House opening type of thing.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I really want to see like a behind the scenes kind of thing to see how Elizabeth Olsen felt about like mimicking some of those older '80s that are the '80s sitcoms that she was like a part of or her family was a part of.
So, after that, the '80s intro goes through. It seemed pretty normal, '80s ish, and afterwards they switch over to
Hold
Monica.
up, before we get over to how they switch over, I wanted to say a few things about the opening. So I thought a few things stood out to me, at least. Like Vision being a baby, we've never seen that before, and I thought that was funny. I think it also is a kind of like note or it's saying something about like his made up history in this town. I thought Wanda's baby pictures were also a little interesting. You see some of the Sokovia flags out there and stuff like that, and I thought that was cool. Shoot, there was something else that I'm forgetting.
One thing I noticed though, them being Vision not being disguised at all.
Yeah.
Like even as a baby or anything like that, he wasn't in a human form in these pictures. But like when they
you brought that to my attention earlier, that was crazy.
The Full House, where they're all in front of the gazebo on the lawn, he's back disguised again. Like so, it looks like their family pictures and stuff like that. He's all normal, like the stuff they have in the house. But when they're outside, he's disguised.
Yeah.
So after that, we cut over to Monica.
Oh,
who is in a hospital.
Sorry. I remembered what I wanted to say.
Go ahead.
My bad. There's a bunch of there's a collage of pictures at one point, and Vision, and he's like in different costume. He's like holding he's like wearing a bunny outfit and like he's like wearing a Santa outfit and stuff. And like progressively through the pictures, you see he's getting sadder and sadder. Like he's like at first he's smiling, and then he's like his frown, like his smile is like slowly going down throughout the pictures. And I thought that was super interesting too for his character because that's kind of like what his character is doing throughout the episodes. But yeah, let's get it.
So we switch over to Monica,
which was surprising,
waking up in a hospital bed.
And let's give credit when credit's due, man, because the freaking tech support called that last episode. He said we were gonna switch back to Monica Rambeau and S.W.O.R.D and stuff. That was dope.
So she's in the hospital bed and she's being tested, and at the same time while she's being tested, she's being debriefed on what was going on while she was in there. They're doing the tests and they come back with the tests, and you notice that her tests are completely like light, so you can't it's too much light and you can't see anything on her tests, like when they show the picture of her body. So I'm like, oh, are we getting photon?
Bro. Who else said that was a photon origin story last episode, bro? Let's get it, man. Let's get it. Hey.
I don't even know who it is. I'll do more research.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, is she warping reality to the point that like we might get new powers?
Yeah.
I'm feeling it.
I was thinking that it more so related to what we were talking about last episode, of how this is going to be how the mutants are introduced, or how a lot of the mutants are introduced. And if everybody in Westview becomes a mutant, that's 3,000 mutants right there, just from this event, That's I thought that was interesting. That would be a dope route to go with it. Judging just based off of the photon information.
Yep.
And then she would be considered a mutant in the MCU.
I was thinking a broader thing, though, not just the people that were touched by Wanda in this experience, but I'm thinking the people that were brought back
From the snap.
Yeah,
You know what?
because that
I
broadens it
wanted
much,
that to
much
happen.
more.
I would really want that to happen. I don't know why I wouldn't. So yeah, that's how I'd just leave it there.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes in the
Yeah, I
future.
mean, I would the only way I would like I just don't know how it would connect. I guess maybe Wanda is connected to the Infinity Stones and somehow that's related, and that's how they would make it make sense.
Yeah.
Um.
It could also just bring a gene for that's dormant in some people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That seems more plausible just because there's some people that got snapped over that already have powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so after that, we have Agent Tyler, Mr.
Tyler Hayward, the man,
Yeah,
the man, the myth,
yeah.
the legend. Yeah.
So he assembles like all the agents in the facility right now or the area to sit there and watch as he hates on Wanda, pretty much. Straight up throwing shade at Wanda the whole time.
I mean, like it kind of makes sense to make her out to be a villain. I think it to be like to come from a perspective of like, you know, he seems like, man, I want to call him a freaking undercover Hydra agent so bad. But you know,
Yeah.
like he kind of like he to come from that kind of background, it seems like he's real judgmental easily. It seems like he's probably against the scroll, all of them. You know, he thinks they're all like trying to kill humans and stuff like that. So it makes sense for him to kind of paint her in his way, especially like given her background. You know, she was against the Avengers and she switched teams and stuff. Like he was making some solid points. You know,
Yeah.
I just don't like him. Simple as
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah, Wu and Darcy don't like him either. So apparently. He shows through the thing, Wu is trying to like pretty much say like, you know, it's not that simple how you just like cast some judgment like that. And then Agent Tyler just decides to throw up the video of Wanda breaking into the facility and stealing or taking the corpse of Vision. Yeah, so we get that, and you know, my first thoughts was like, well, because Wu brought up the point that Vision didn't want his body to be taken for science, but it seemed like that's exactly what they were doing with his body.
Yeah.
You know, she stole him from this area with a bunch of scientists looking around his body, most likely creating weapons since that's their new name now for S.W.O.R.D.
Yeah.
So, you know, he tried to like say, oh yeah, she's taking his body and gonna use it, but it looked more like
They
it
already
was the
were.
other way around. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sketchy.
So after that, we pan back to the scene. We pan back to the um you know the illusion scene, and we have the boys in the kitchen over the sink doing something. And come to find out they have a new dog.
mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh, we gotta clean it if we're gonna be able to keep the dog. So in comes Wanda, and she's like, what are you guys hiding back there? And she sees the dog and picks him up, and
Falls in
kind of
love.
you slowly see her like kind of like the dog after a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So then Vision comes in and he's like, whoa, okay, we got a furry friend here. And he mentioned something about having a feeling like they start to have a conversation about how Agnes just ends up like popping up out of nowhere. and like I think instinctually he just switches his face over to human, and right after that, Agnes walks in. Yeah, like he mentioned it, he kind of like knew she was gonna be there before she came, and he was like, "Well, here she is."
Mm.
Yeah.
He even
And
said like with the exact item that we needed or something like that.
Yeah,
I just had a
like
feeling somebody
dog
would pop up with the exact item we needed, and then Agnes comes through the door with the doghouse.
The doghouse, yeah.
How did she know they got a
So
dog? How did she know all of this?
yeah, like why
I
would you
saw
have
it
a
through
dog?
the window.
Yeah, no,
Staring through my
no
window.
way, bro. I just
That's what we
happened to
do out
see
here.
it through the window. So you happen to like pick up a dog cage within like minutes. So yeah, there's something up for sure with
Definitely.
old Agnes, old nosy neighbor. So so after that, we noticed that the kids are trying to figure out a name for the dog, and the dog ends up chewing at an electrical port and almost gets fried immediately. But they're like, "That's a good name, Sparky." I think Agnes came up with the name,
Mm-hmm.
Sparky. So she's like, "Oh wow, well, why don't we make it official?" This being Wanda, and just like magically creates a dog collar in front of Agnes, and Vision's like, "What are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "I'm sick of not using my powers around people." And Vision's like, "That's not what we do. What's going on here?"
This
So it
very well be
sends him back
Cage.
down. Yeah, it sends him back down into that spiral of like trying to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what's going on? When do we just start using our powers around people? Like, why does she know so much and it just pops up out of nowhere? Like, so he's like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, Wanda keeps kind of like dodging it, and it comes up to the point where Vision and Wanda are talking about if it's okay for the boys to have a dog in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
and Vision's like, they should be like at least 10 years old
Which I thought was
before.
but even before we get to that part, I thought was interesting because once again they change the subject.
Yeah.
Like when he starts to ask questions, they change the subject, and that was a smooth way of doing it because it
Hmm.
kind of just happened, and like it happened so casually that barely the audience noticed. You know what I mean? That the subject got switched to something
Yeah.
simple.
So he's like, yeah, they should at least be 10 years old before we start thinking about a dog,
Mm.
And Wanda's like, you hear that? You gotta be at least 10 years old to get this dog. And they're like, they give each other the eye. They're like, and then boom, you like see their bodies like change to 10-year-olds. And they're like, oh no, you did it again, switching like age and stuff. And was Agnes there? I think she
Yeah,
was. So
behind the
that
holding
too.
door.
Yeah.
So after that, we switch over to Vision in the office,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody in the office had just got brand new ancient computers. And so they're trying to figure out how the computers work and stuff. And Norm is like, how does this work? Da, 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 da. And it's hilarious because it's like an old school dial up internet that he's pulling up. And when I heard that, it just brought back memories of like having to wait for that dial up internet
It was horrible. Yeah.
to. At the time, like they noticed that they got a email, electronic mail, and Vision ends up reading it. No, actually, Norm ends up reading it, and while he's reading it, everybody in the office is reading it as well, and it ends up being a message from S.W.O.R.D about the hex.
Lewis findings regarding Maximus high levels of radiation present at perimeter. Effect on Westview residents unknown. Please advise.
And Vision's like, puts his little fingers on his head, and then Norm ends up like waking up from the hex power, and he's just like, "Oh, you have to stop her! You gotta stop her! You gotta make it stop! I need to find my phone myself."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is like terrifying." This is terrifying. It was terrifying when they were all speaking at the same time, but this was like, okay, and it makes me think like how deep time is morphed, because if you remember when they read the messages, I think we mentioned that before, when Darcy first got there, she wrote that Vision had used his powers to wake Norm up. You guys remember?
Hold on. All right. Oh yeah, I think that was a continuity error, right? You're talking about the writing on the wall? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The papers that they got, and they were trying to identify each person that was inside the That's a continuity issue?
I think it's a continuity error, yeah. Or it hasn't been confirmed by Marvel, but, you know, I think it is. I'm not sure. Because they didn't expect people to zoom into that shot like they did and freaking read the entire thing.
Yeah. Well, they should have known. Like, people going to analyze every little bit of the show.
Yeah, man.
But
shooting in 4K, bro. Switch it back to 1080. So it'll be all pixelated when they try to zoom in like that.
After this scene, very eerie, weird scene. Well, I forgot to mention, yeah, he switches back to his TV Norm version after a little bit. And yeah, now like Vision definitely knows what's up at this point. Like he knows like people are being controlled. So after that, we switch back over to the house with Wanda and the kids. The kids are like doing tricks with the dog, sit, roll over, and all that. And they mentioned something about their dad not being there, and they're like, "Where's dad?" And she's like, "Oh, he had to work, going for work for a bit today," and they're like, which is really weird because like it seemed like a very reasonable thing for Wanda to say. Like people sometimes have to go in for work, you know. But the kids seemed like they just couldn't accept that at all. Like they knew something was up.
Yeah.
More than what they let on. So which puts another theory in my head. I'll get to that later. But Wanda's like, sometimes we don't always see eye to eye, and sometimes Dad needs space, and they're like, space from us, and she's like, no, not. It's like you two are together, you're brothers, and you'll always be brothers, and that's just how it is. And they're like, you have a brother? And she's like, I do have a brother. He's far away, which was a weird thing to say. Like, he's gone. So I
don't think that's that weird. I feel like people say that often to kids, or especially around that time. They wouldn't say that things are dead. They would say that things were far away. Especially during those sitcom times in the '80s when people were like, yeah, no, your dog it ran away. It didn't die. It ran away. Or oh, your fish. We had to set him free. Like that. I don't know. I think it's very believable. I think it stood out.
For me, I just feel like it's just showing how little she was able to accept the death of her brother.
I do think that that's a reality, but I also think that it fit. You know what I mean? Like it fit within what was going on. It was like it would make sense for that to be said. It wasn't like I guess wrong to say for what. Yeah.
Yeah. So, after that, that's when the dog runs out the door.
Yeah.
And the dog runs out, so they run after the dog. But there's a drone.
After the mom says, "Don't leave the house," by the way.
Yeah. She's like, "Don't leave the house, stay here." And you know, kids never listen. So she runs out. They run out after her, and boom, there's a drone just sitting there. You know, and we switch over, and we see. Oh, actually, before. No, I'm right. So they get the drone, and we see Darcy and Wu and Tyler like looking at just Darcy and Wu looking at the video of the drone, staring back at them, and they're having the conversation like, "Yo, she's looking at the drone. What we can talk to her." So they try to talk through it, and you just see her eyes glow red, and I'm like, you already know. So then Tyler comes in and he's like, "We gotta gun her down. We gun her down." I'm like, "Yo,
what is that, man? Freaking Commander. He's pulling a straight Commander Ross, bro. Shoot him! Shoot him right away. Yeah.
I thought this was WandaVision.
But doing the dumb stuff, man. I'm like, dude, what the frick? What made you think?
Yeah,
especially
I'm like,
since she supposedly has hostages. Like this whole town is supposed to be her hostages. Why would you shoot her?
Why would you shoot a missile?
Yeah.
So yeah,
in a town.
So,
like it was just all odd.
So moments later, you hear the brr, 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 somebody's coming through the anomaly. Somebody's coming through the hex.
Yeah.
And so, well, here they all, drive out there, and they're ready, and you see her come out with the drone. That drone looked pitiful. She's just dragging it. She tosses it over like it ain't nothing.
So, one thing that I wanted to say was that 80s drone. It was a 80s drone that they sent in. They found out if they send in something from the time period that they're in, it won't change at all. So that's interesting information. I think they're going to use that crap like to influence the story or to progress it like later. That's going to come back in a big way.
I have a theory for that later.
Yeah.
Right, so she comes out of the hex, and what's going on now?
Yeah, she comes out the hex, and she's pretty much like, "Yo, this is my space, my territory. Don't come in here. We're gonna have issues."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, mainly Monica and Tyler are talking to her, and Tyler's like, "You got hostages, you got people in there. We're gonna do what we gotta do." And Monica's kind of trying to like be more diplomatic about it and talk to her like, you let me deliver your babies. So on some level, you see me as an ally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to like.
She's been in her mind. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying, yeah.
I'm just trying to like make sure everybody's safe. That's what it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "I ain't having it, Stay out. Stay away from my family."
She says, "What do you have to offer me?" Which was interesting. I thought that I should mention that because, like, I thought that was something that you would say if you were looking for help. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't just immediately reject the offer. She asked, "What could you offer me?" Gave her a chance to answer, and then she was like, I already got what I want, pretty much, which also I think caused to like the kind of mental state that she's in. Pretty much, I think what's happening so far is legit. But when Wanda comes out of that hex, bro, that was one of my favorite parts of this episode. It was really exciting. Like she threw out, she was, even though like she's bad Wanda at this point. You know what I mean? Like she's villain silent, and this actually revealed a lot to me about like what's going on in here because up until this point I thought she wasn't aware of her actions. All right, you know, and it seems like there's either. So my theory after watching this part was that she had some sort of like split personality going on from everything that's happened, but you know, then something else happens. It changes that completely because yeah, I just think she's completely bad, and she's pretending like you know she doesn't know what's going on with Vision. You know, yeah, how you guys feel?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's deeper. There's something going on behind the curtains that we don't see, but she definitely has more knowledge of what's going on than she's let on.
Yes,
in the beginning.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to believe, man. Tech, how you feeling about this?
Yeah, I would agree with that. She isn't completely ignorant of what's going on, but I don't feel like she knows all of it. I feel like she doesn't understand what's going on.
Okay. Like she doesn't. What do you mean she doesn't understand what's going on? She doesn't know all of it. You mean like
like she doesn't know all the information.
Like
she just like knows that like she's got this space, but she doesn't know what it all entails, like what she can do with it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Still working it out.
Still not 100% on her powers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Deej. Then what happens?
So I just wanted to mention like the part where you know she's having this conversation with Tyler and Monica, and Tyler pretty much like I don't know, I feel like she senses the aggression coming off of him a little bit, and she just turns like she ain't playing no more. She like takes the minds of all the people that's got guns trained on her, and they all turn them on Tyler, and he's like,
stand down!
I think he's way smarter than he lets off, like given these episodes, and I think that him and Wanda have spoken before, and I think that's how she knew where Vision was. How else would she know? He said it was top secret information that no one else knew, that he just revealed to the S.W.O.R.D people like this episode, and now, but somehow Wanda figured out where they're keeping Vision's body. Like they just like you know like that's something they would definitely keep from her.
I agree though. There's something shady going on because why wouldn't he mention it to Monica during the whole beginning briefing about the whole missing persons? Because if they knew this was extraterrestrial or something to do with Wanda, why wouldn't she be briefed about it? Like it was just.
I have a theory on how she could have found that out, but I'm gonna save it for the end. You know, I have a pretty decent hunch.
Oh, I thought that it was interesting. That her accent came back. I'm gonna cut out the other part. So I thought it was interesting that her accent came back on the video. Or I mean, in the show when she left the Hex. Just kind of really breaking that that kind of sitcom reality that she's created. We're all kind of questioning why she lost her accent or how she lost her accent. You know, and I thought that was interesting that it was just in her world. She's not from Sokovia, I guess. You know.
And she was wearing the same clothes that she was wearing in Endgame.
Yeah.
At the end of Endgame. So like it was like she really left this reality, this dimension or whatever, and came back to where she was before. The exact same.
Yeah. And it made it a lot more. It also made it a lot more believable for me too. Like the kind of time frame of it all, because I was thinking that the stuff was kind of happening pretty fast. You know, she stole Vision's body 9 days after Endgame, I think it was. You know, and then like, which gave her 1 week before Monica Rambeau showed up, which is like that's not a lot of that's not a lot of time for all this to happen.
No,
you know. But yeah, I think it's super interesting, and I wonder if they hit anything closer to Endgame than WandaVision. It's like I am curious as to like what happened right. I want to know like what happened right after Thanos got flipped. Like then what? Where did everybody go from there?
After that, Tyler gets spared. It switches over to a commercial break, and we get Lagos paper towels, and they're cleaning up messes. And
freaking horrible paper towels, man. Can we talk about that? They didn't clean up anything.
Awful commercial.
I thought that was interesting for
looks like
kind of the representation of what Lagos paper towels kind of stood for. Of course, Lagos is the place that where all those people got killed in Captain America: Civil War. Beginning of that, when Wanda accidentally sent crossbones up and like destroyed that building, right? And then
something.
Oh, go ahead.
Something I did want to bring up before we get the commercial. When she went back into her little the realm or whatever, she turned the whole thing red.
Yeah, that's right. What do we think that stood for?
And this was the theory I was talking about earlier. I really think this means nothing can enter now. Either nothing can enter or it'll harm it. Like it'll do damage to something. Like something's gonna happen where it's gonna do damage to someone or something when they try to get it to enter. Like when she was talking about hitting up a biospace engineer to work on this project to create something. I don't know if they're still going to go down that route because they already did the drone. But if they do, I think whatever they make is going to get destroyed.
Yeah, and that's also worth noting. It's like who do we think the biological engineer is?
Who I think it is because of the videos on YouTube I saw.
All right,
the Fantastic Four references. What is his name?
Reed Richards.
The stretchy dude, man. Why can I never remember these guys' names?
Reed Richards.
Isn't he like some crazy scientist?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what he studies.
Smartest in the conference.
Yeah.
Smarter than Tony.
Yep. I think that if they do that, they might have a backlash. Just depending, because it's the first family. I think people are expecting something bigger. But I feel like they can do it in a way in this show to make it legit awesome, or maybe maybe it can just be some sort of cameo and he doesn't have his powers yet.
I was thinking that they don't even have to have the person there. They could be contacting their like agency or whatever. Like, hey, we need something built, and they're like, hey, this is from Dr. Blah blah blah, and just like they don't even have to bring him in or show him or anything.
This is a question that I had though. Before the blip, the Baxter building was being built, or we don't know if it's the Baxter building, but the Avengers Tower was being redecorated. And it was purchased by somebody else before the blip, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I just wanted to know because I definitely have a theory for Fantastic Four then. But yeah, let's get back into it now.
So I just wanted to say the little slogan for Lagos was, "When you make a mess, you didn't mean to."
Yeah. And
we can make a whoopsie.
I thought it was interesting that the paper towels didn't clean up the mess because I feel like the mess that she's making, the messes that she's made aren't going to be aren't going to be able to be cleaned. You know what I mean? Like I think that this is what's gonna introduce the multiverse. And without saying anything, this episode definitely, introducing some multiverse stuff. But I thought that that was interesting. And then also that the red liquid kind of signifies a blood spill, or red wine, it signifies blood spilling, and the blood on the hands and all that's imagery that was within that the first few seconds of the commercial. That was super interesting. And then also, are these commercials covering each Infinity Stone, bro? Think about it. Think about it. The
I
toaster's
saw
the
that
Mind
theory.
Stone. The toaster's the Mind Stone. The watch, Time Stone. The bar of soap is like the Tesseract, right? From which is the is it the Reality Stone or I can't remember. And then
The Tesseract controls space, doesn't it? Isn't it?
maybe I really don't know. And then like the red liquid is the mind not the Mind Stone, the Power Stone. Was that the one from Thor 2, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the theory that I'm gonna go with right now.
Maybe.
'Cause I think that's a pretty cool one. Um, yeah. How'd you guys feel about that
Yeah.
trailer?
The commercial.
Yeah, the commercial, sorry.
This one was, I don't know. I think I like the other ones more.
Really?
This one just seemed like too on the note. I don't know.
That
Like
was
you know exactly
I had the
what
same
they're
feeling.
talking about
Yeah.
when they say Lagos, like cleaning up messes. You know.
Did
I
that
feel
click
like the other
instantly for
ones.
you? Because I thought I didn't remember that Lagos was the place at all.
Oh,
You know, when I first
mm,
watched it, I was like, Lagos. I wonder what that is. And then I was like, the other guy, these paper towels suck. You know, like I didn't really put like the Infinity Stone thing together. I didn't put
no,
the
like the
Lagos.
Infinity Stone thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't really put any of that together.
I
And
just felt
yeah.
I really think that there's more to it too. That's why I want to like watch it more because I think that the clear liquid means something too. They spilled on the second spill when he cleaned.
Yeah, it was like
Um,
looked like Moscato.
yeah, and then so I don't know. I feel like that this one may seem on the nose when you first look at it, but I feel like it might have the most Easter eggs. That's why I want to like just keep going back and watching this one specifically. Like the other ones, I've been
Good.
like, I've been kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the other
Like,
ones were much more subtle.
yeah.
Like they were very careful with their language, but this one was very spot on with the like clean up messes.
Does
Like
that not? I feel like that makes me more. It makes me look at it harder. Like, nah, it's got to be more to this. If it's giving me this thing right away, you
I
know?
feel like the
Yeah.
commercials are escalating just like the series is.
Yeah,
Like
which
they're
would
giving
make
more
sense.
information because at first it was very subtle. Like you were like, why
Yeah.
is there a commercial? And this is just really weird. And like they started to have more and more like language towards the episode of what was going on. And then now it's getting more and more like cleaning up messes that you made. Like you messed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
yeah. Because
You might be
I
right.
think the last trailer was a pretty on the nose too, with the soap and kind of like escaping your home away from home. You know?
Mm.
They still
But
danced around it
but
more
when I
though. This
think of
one was
soap,
like
I think of like cleaning myself,
But I'm
not
talking about
necessarily.
I was talking about the commercial specifically because it was like that's kind of what we're taught. We're like with the conversations around it's just the commercials, not necessarily the product that's being sold, but it's just like yeah, they were saying like they were pretty much telling you on the last commercial what it was about. I thought that
Yeah.
was pretty spot on. Like so, what I was getting at was I think that what tech support was saying was like pretty much might be what's happening exactly. Like as it escalates, as things are getting like more wild in her universe, these trailers, these commercials are getting kind of less subtle.
So, um, the next part is that we switch over to Wanda and the boys looking for Sparky.
no missile, by the way. Like I know they had a commercial or whatever, but they just shot a missile at Wanda.
Yeah.
And the next scene where we see her, where she's back with her children, there's nothing mentioning it. Like their kids are like, "Where'd the missile go? What?" Nothing like that. Like she just erased it completely.
Yeah, that's probably what she did. Honestly, it's just erased it.
Yeah.
But it's weird because they were so self-aware before, when their dad wasn't home for work or wasn't home because he was at work. But now they're not. Like it's just so odd. Like what do they know? What are they privy to? Like it's just odd.
Another thing is like you don't know what she edited within the trailer or within the show. I mean, within the show, which is like she's editing this crap live, right? So, or what we don't know if Wanda's editing, but someone's editing the show that we're seeing, And so like the part where they trip could have been just cut out, and we didn't see it, and then maybe they get back to it later.
So, I have a theory about why certain things they know and certain things they don't. But once again, I'm gonna save that for the end.
We actually don't have enough time for theories, so we're gonna wrap it up.
So I'll just mention it. So, I feel like the kids are not really her kids.
Yeah.
They're like Mephisto's or Agnes's creation. And the reason why they know certain things is because they want the story to move along a certain path. So the fact that they know that Vision isn't there is because they want Wanda to stop Vision from snooping. And the fact that they don't know about the missile is because that has nothing to do with, they already know Wanda's going to stop the people. So they don't need to push her in any direction. And I realize that, or I believe that anything that Wanda's powers don't affect are something from Agnes or Mephisto. So like the stork, she couldn't stop it. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, the kids, she couldn't stop them from crying or anything like that or going to sleep because they're not her power.
Yeah, I think you're definitely onto something. I'm gonna actually take over the explanation because we're almost hitting that hour. Dude, I wanted to say something. Yeah, I didn't actually put the 2 and 2 together, or I didn't put like it all together for the animals and everything like that. I was thinking the same thing with the kids though, that they're actually serving like, somebody else that's like trying to keep her from doing certain things. It seems like they distract her whenever, or they distract the Vision during the dog scene. When they're when he's asking like what's going on, they're like, oh, so can we keep the dog? And they distract him from that conversation. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, so after we get from out of the hex, that's where we left off, right?
Where the boys are and Wanda are looking for.
Okay, yeah. So the boys and Wanda are looking for the dog. They find something rough. Oh, actually, shoot, I forgot. Man, that was crazy. So they see the mailman, and the mailman, they tell him they're looking for the dog, and the mailman's like, "Oh, don't worry, your mom won't let him get him far. Won't let him get far." And he like nods at her, and he's like, "Man, whoa, that was so crazy." And so like he's been like really self-aware, as opposed to like everyone else who is like, oblivious to it all, especially when they're under the mind control thing. So mailman's definitely standing out to me. I don't know if that means something in the long run, but they find something rustling around in the bushes. It turns out to be Agnes, and she's holding the dog. It's wrapped up. It seems to have died from some of her plants in her yard, which was interesting because that's also how the dog dies in the comics, by digging up something in Agnes's yard. Thought that was pretty crazy. I think he actually digs up the Reaper, I think, and then licks his scythe and gets shocked to death. And that's how the dog dies originally in the comics.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I prefer this way.
Yeah. So once they find out the dog dies, the two kids, Billy and Tommy, decide that it's time to age up. But before they can do so, Wanda stops them and talks them down, letting them know that it's not right to bring people back to life and death should be final. Which I think is interesting. It's an interesting correlation to Vision, but I also don't think that Vision is a human, so I'll never make that. Or I don't think the correlation is valid for him. But I do get the correlation within the show though. She's technically being very hypocritical. I thought it stood out that the children started asking her to bring back the dog, and it also stood out that Agnes took note of that. She was like, oh, it seemed like that was the only thing in the episode she was interested in. Just, oh, you can bring the dogs back. You can bring people back to life or whatever. Yeah, how'd you guys feel about that?
So, I feel like Agnes knows. I mean, I think she's just acting at this point.
Mm-hmm.
The whole scene kind of like irritated me a little bit with Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Just like she's like, we can't reverse death no matter how sad it makes us. And I'm just like, what has this whole thing been about? Like you trying to relive something that doesn't exist, and her inability to like really let go of the things that she lost.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
like it's definitely worth noting that I think that that it's also something to be said for like people being able to see wrong, from other perspectives, but not from within, you know what I mean? Like that's a problem that like a very common human problem that I think was shown pretty well in this scene right here, which is maybe why I like it so much. I really like things that are grounded and like and kind of like just emotionally, you know what I mean? Like things that I can kind of grasp with that kind of mental struggle. How'd you feel about it, Nate? How'd you feel about this thing?
I definitely feel like I admit that I didn't feel like she was in the loop before. I thought she was just a nosy neighbor, but at this point, I'm like, nah, you have to be a part of this. Like you know way too much. You're always there. You always have what they need, and you don't seem fazed by anything that's going on. You just seem like happy-go-lucky. Like this is where you're meant to be. Like the sun's definitely down.
It's really
Seems self-aware.
It's gonna be really crazy if nothing's going on with that would be the real twist. If nothing's going on with Agnes, she's just a normal person, and we're like, oh, she was just a missing person the whole time. I would be mad.
If she's the missing person, that'd be wild.
A little idea about what's going on, at least with the Doctor Strange side of things from the rumors that are going on. But it seems like what I think that Wanda went to Doctor Strange to see if she could get Vision back. And he told her no, most likely. And so she went and tried to find another magic user to help her with.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go into my theory. I was about to be like, oh, that was a dope transition.
And she found Agnes, and Agnes, is working with other forces. I don't know who. And ended up creating this whole hex thing to bolster her powers.
Yeah. After that, I almost called them the actor name. Vision shows up, and and he asks what's going on. The dog. He notices the dog's dead. He consoles his kids, and then we cut the inside of the house, man. this is when things really start going down. It seems like the episode's wrapping up as normal, you know, nighttime. Got the wife cleaning up the kitchen, and got the kiss the cook sign right on the side. You know, we're all ready for the end of the night. But it doesn't seem like Vision so much is. And so he comes through the door and he starts washing his hands. You know, she starts a normal closing conversation, but doesn't seem like he is having that, bro. So he dude, hold up, I'm actually playing it on the side. He says, a little heartbroken. Vision says, well, it's not often you get a dog and bury it the same day. That dog did die fast. Like, now that he mentions it. And she says something that's really, like, I don't know, it seems really sitcom-y, which is, well, life moves pretty fast in the suburbs. And I was like, okay, so you're trying to keep it sitcom, he's trying to have a real conversation. This stuff isn't about to work out. He says, I unearthed a man today at work, and I spoke to him free of your oversight, which is, shoot, I always forget this guy's name. I really struggle. Yeah, which is Norm, that he did earlier in this episode. She's like, listen, Vision, can we just, like, forget about it, basically? And he's saying, like, you know, turn in for the night, change everything over again. We're not about to do that, bro. We're about to have this conversation right now. Can't keep going back and forth with you. And then he says, like, you might be in control of everyone else, but you're not in control of me. He's like, this is crazy. So when she does that, the credits start rolling, and the freaking ending music cues on, and literal people who worked on the episode start scrolling through the credits, and I'm like, dude, what the frick is going on? And I'm like, at first I'm like, dude, I know they're not about to end this thing like in the middle of an argument, because I'm thinking they're still about going to end the episode. And he busts through the door, the credits stop, bro. Fourth wall broken, man.
Oh, there's a family. Wanda has a family, and he can't reach them because you won't let him reach them.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I thought that was a dope scene. How did y'all feel about that, man? That transition was awesome.
When I saw that, when I saw the credits roll, I was like, wait a second, it's over?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my god, she's trying to end the show.
Yeah. That was tripping the frick out, man. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was crazy. So he busts through the door and he's telling her to stop lying to him, and he like flies in the air. This is where we get that scene that we've seen in all the trailers of them flying in the air in the living room together. He's telling her that he can't remember anything from the time that he died, or well, from the time they hit Westview, and she's like, yo, you don't need to remember anything else. Aren't I and the children all that matter? Frick no, man. Frick no, you're not. Hello? Like, I thought that was, man, he
started to calm down at first, and then he was like, children, where are all the other children?
Right, exactly. And then he mentions that, and that was actually a question that we asked. I think on like the first or second episode. Yeah, it was on the first episode that we did. This is like, we're doing this for the children. Where the frick are all the children at?
For the children.
And I thought that was interesting. Another thing that's worth noting is like, it seems like not only are like the kids, or it seems like it has transitioned to the kids, but before it was the community that was trying to like will things from her into existence, you know what I mean? So like first they were talking about for the children, and then I think they started talking about dude, I can't remember. Yeah, I think it might have been something different on the first episode.
All the newspapers were mentioning stuff too about motherhood and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like it seemed like it was like
had ads, like
it was like all over the place, like throughout until she had her kids, and now her kids are like manipulating her into doing even more stuff, you know, and falling kind of deeper into this kind of thing
World.
this world that she's created. Yeah, so she's saying, so then she starts denying everything. She's like, yo, you think I'm like controlling all these people to walk their dogs and mow the lawns? I'm like, I mean, you just rolled credits on me. Yeah, I do. Yes, I do, bro. So he's like consoling her and stuff, and like, but they're still like trying to have a casual conversation. All of a sudden, the doorbell rings.
Ding dong. Who can it be?
Wanda, you know, she's denying having done this. Do we believe her? What are we thinking, man? Start with Tech. What do you think, bro?
I mean, I feel like most of it is her.
You said you feel like what?
Most of it is her.
Okay. And what do you think?
I feel like she did it subconsciously.
I feel like she did it subconsciously.
Like she didn't mean to do this, but she definitely did it.
Yeah, I think that she might have started it subconsciously. You know what I mean? And then like she was like, you know what, frick it. Let's just keep it going. This is nice. You know?
Yeah, she's like, I like this.
Yeah.
True, do what I say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Vision doesn't believe her. He doesn't believe that she didn't call somebody to the door. She's like, fine, whatever. She gets up to answer the door. Now, I didn't expect what the frick happened right here. I was thinking it was just gonna be Agnes. But all of a sudden she opens this door. We see a white head of hair from behind shot. Or actually before that it transitions. Transitions to
Darcy.
to S.W.O.R.D and Darcy, and she's watching the monitor. And then it cuts to behind his head, white hair. But it's not the Quicksilver that we know. It is a Quicksilver. The Quicksilver from the X-Men universe showing up.
Long lost bro, get to squeeze his stinking sister to death or what?
Awesome brother cameo, like sitcom, awesome, like you know, like when somebody shows up at the end of an episode or beginning of an episode and kind of like lightens the entire thing. You always get those guest cameos and stuff like that. I thought that he was perfect. He also had like this awesome fake accent that he threw on. But yeah, I forget. Do we remember? Do you remember the actor's name? He's from American Horror Story.
Evan
Peters.
Peters.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. So Evan Peters is now officially in the MCU. Wanda embraces him. She's also calls him Pietro, her brother's name, which means she recognizes him as her brother. I thought it was interesting. Funny joke.
Who's a popsicle?
Before we cut to credit, that was an awesome episode. I really liked it. But what a freaking ending, man! Now, I like I said, I believe on the third episode we'd have a Quicksilver cameo in here. But man, let me tell you,
like this.
I was expecting it to be Evan Peters. I wasn't expecting it to be on this episode. I wasn't expecting it to be like this. You know what I mean? Like I was telling you on the third episode, I was thinking that it would be like some sort of dream state that she was in or something like that for him to show back up. Yeah. But yeah, he actually showed up. So like, what do we think that this part means for the MCU going forward, man? Starting with Tech.
I'm not sure if they're just bringing him in as like a quick cameo and he's gonna disappear, or if this is like the start of the mutants, like making like Fox's X-Men a part of the MCU. Like, yeah. I don't know if this is like a restart, like we're gonna continue his character, it would just use him, or like what they're gonna do with it. It's just odd. Like I'm not sure what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be freaking crazy, man. What are you thinking is gonna what's gonna come from this?
I have no idea. Like this part left me like baffled. Like
yeah.
I knew Evan Peters was gonna be in the show. I heard rumors.
Yeah, there's been some solid rumors around.
Yeah. So I kind of had an idea he would like show up. I didn't know how. I thought they were gonna make her son Evan Peters,
Oh, okay. Like
and he would
Speed.
be the new Speed.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah. Now I'm just like lost. Like,
What's up with the popsicle? Yo, yo, guys, man, I'm super hyped, bro. Yeah, so they got Evan Peters in here, bro, which means the multiverse of madness is starting, bro. And I did not expect it, but it makes total sense for the multiverse to include the Sony universe, the Fox universe, and all of these other universe of MCU comics that have been created. People like from Fantastic Four can show up. They could have Chris Evans show back up as Human Torch and stuff like this. Like through all of this stuff, and like, it's just it's super exciting, man. I don't know exactly what to expect. Like when they said multiverse though, when they said they were like introducing the multiverse, I didn't expect them to actually choose different movie universes, and like include them within that. I think that's amazing. The fact that they brought Evan Peters back. Who do we think brought Evan Peters into that room? Do we think it's Wanda? Do we think it's Mephisto? Do we think it's Agnes? Like, it can be anybody, because honestly, Agnes was the one who was like, she had showed, this is what's making me personally, I think it's Agnes. And what's making, or Agnes and Mephisto somehow, and what's making me think it's them is because all throughout the episode, they really like harped on the idea of her always showing up to help Wanda out whenever she's in like trouble or in turmoil. And literally when she was like right at the edge, like she was backed into a corner, nothing she could have done, like to keep kind of denying this reality from Vision. Literally at that moment, Quicksilver shows up at her door. Another thing is Quicksilver under her mind control. And so when he gets out of this, he's going to be like, dude, where the frick am I? Who are you? Where's my baby sister from the Fox universe? Like, what's going on? Like, I think that, like, it's so much that can kind of be taken from this part, or from this ending, man. What a beautiful way to end the show, man. Do you guys have anything to say about that last half?
Other than Wanda kind of foreshadowed her brother coming back like this, though, when she says when her kids are asking about.
That's what I meant to. That was the other thing. Yeah. It was her brother.
He's far away. Yeah. Like she's talking about, he's far away.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this other Pietro. So maybe she was subconsciously reaching out for him and found this Pietro and just grabbed it.
That's what I was thinking about originally. Like, yeah, it could be something kind of similar to that, where she's just like, she's unconsciously pulling these things and making all this crazy stuff happen, even though like she knows she's in control of most of it. Let's say, there's some things that she doesn't even realize she's in control of.
She's emotional. She's off the rails right now, so she probably doesn't have full control of everything like she thinks she does.
I feel like if next episode comes and she tries to use her magic on him and it doesn't work, then I know it's from Agnes or Mephisto.
Yeah.
If she can, and it's not, and somehow they were able to pull the X-Men Fox version of
which is, and another thing that's worth noting is this is the 80s episode, and X-Men Apocalypse took place in the 80s. And so we know which version of Quicksilver this is. We know that this is actually before Dark Phoenix, which took place in the 90s. And then, but we've also found out that like he's met Magneto. He's kind of like few of these other things. I think that's interesting. Yeah, I'm just going to assume that they pulled him from the 80s for now.
He looks so different though. If you look at like the '80s version of him,
I did. I
his
just watched
hair
the
is
episode. He does, like
yeah,
it's
his hair
dark
is
at the
completely different.
it's dark at the roots, bro. Like it's not that.
I mean, his hair is like almost straight looking, and then this one, it's like curved
No,
around his head.
you're thinking about the other one. He's it's straight looking in X-Men Days of Future Past.
Oh, okay.
If you watch Apocalypse, it looks just like it does in this one.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought that was thought that stood out, man. I really I'm really curious if like more characters are going to get pulled, or if they're going to like reboot most of them. Like I really want to know how they do this, because I wouldn't mind having Michael Fassbender Magneto, you know, in the MCU, you know, and a few other characters, honestly, that they come out with. I think that they did a good job with, you know. But yeah, bro. Yeah. With that being said, we actually had to cut out the theories today, but don't worry, we'll still update you guys on the theories next week. But until next time, guys, another amazing episode. Peace.
Just move to